Yo, welcome back to another video. Now this is going to be Broly's video that we are going to be going and completing all of the difficult stages. Now this is the team that I will be using. In my last video I did have Takarota in my fifth slot, or in my fifth slot, bringing a double farm. In most instances you probably still want to use a double farm, but there are certain instances where you can like drop Takarota for a flexible fifth slot. Now there really isn't a whole lot of great other placement supports. I guess I could do Orihime. I'm trying to find something where I don't need to invest into. I'm avoiding using Subaru because not everyone has Subaru. And then, I mean, I probably could do Astolfo as well, but at the same time, I don't really want to invest money into my Astolfo. Same thing with Boo as well. Boo's cost like 35,000 to get to his upgrade 7. And then from there, you have to get kills on him to upgrade him to Buikalo to then actually be able to buff my Broly. So kind of limiting myself. I don't really want to be using him, so I've ended up just using Priestess because she is a stun on placement with full AoE. I accidentally have a familiar on her, which I'll take off before we actually get into the proper stages. But let's go over kind of what my team would be looking like realistically if we were to drop Broly in at this. I feel like this is a realistic wave that you would actually be placing Broly down for the first time, and then we'll get him all the way up to wave 15. So I'll pop his ability. I'll now skip all the way to wave 15. So realistically for a stage, you know, basically let's look at what the effective DPS would be looking like with kind of this team setup if I were to pop his domain straight at wave 15. Now one thing that I can say already is that Broly is actually going to be struggling on the Guilty Gear Extreme stage by himself. If I were to be bringing other damage options as well alongside him, it might not be as bad. But one thing with him is like if he gets marked and gets taken away, it's kind of over. I have to restart from the start again, because let's say this is what his damage would be looking like since I've been building up since wave 3, but on wave 15 of the Guilty Gear stage, if he were to just get taken away, then I would have to sell and replace him, and I might not even get him to his max upgrade anymore, and he's already dealing way significantly less damage. And I don't know why the clears is not working. Yeah, so you can already see like his damage is significantly lower now that I have had to sell him. Technically just think he's been taken away and I've sold and replaced him, and I don't have enough money to max upgrade him again. You can see his DPS has fallen off significantly. Now the thing is with Gogeta like doesn't have that problem because he is relatively cheap and he can just build up to his max like quite fast. But this isn't about Gogeta, so I won't mention him anymore. This is all about Broly. So with just me going over this, let's get into the first stage, which is of course the Guilty Gear stage. All right, we are in the Guilty Gear stage. We are going to pick Thrice because I think Broly can handle multiple enemies pretty well. He is really good at that. Now we are going in pretty much with the same setup that I had for my Gogeta, where none of my units had a familiar except for my Speedwagon. So this is what we are going to be copying and doing the same thing alongside that to see kind of the differences between it. Now in my previous video with my Gogeta, I did state that Gogeta couldn't be taken, but I actually discovered that he can be taken. I just got extremely lucky the times that I did do it, but it's not actually too bad because Gogeta can just get himself back pretty easily if you were to sell him and place him down, get his upgrades up pretty fast. He should already be like somewhat okay to handle being taken away, whereas Broly is a bit different because you do want him to be building up and everything, and it's a bit harder with that. So let's see what this will be like. We are going into wave 4 before we can place Broly for the first time, but we are going to be popping his ability straight away, and now we just pray that he does not get taken away because this makes it the painful part. If he gets taken away, I cannot sell him and replace him to be able to do any more damage again because he just does not have the DPS at all at that point. I should probably turn on visual effects because that's when I can see the marks. Alright, so we got everything graded fully. Now we are just going to bring in some stalls, place them around. And I do want to upgrade you one more time. Place down a Hercule. I think I want to keep Broly at base. Do I want to keep him at base actually? He does do a lot of damage at base, even with his built up crit, because he's getting a bunch of crit damage now since he's already got 50%. Getting him to his full AoE is like really good too. Also, it has been mentioned that this is a bug where you can just fully reduce the cost by clicking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to avoid doing that as well. I'm just going to upgrade one and then click, just so we can replicate it like later on in the future once it does get fixed. So there is that. we'll see if we can beat this boss, which we should be able to. Okay, that's fine. Oh no, Broly got marked. Okay, well, we'll showcase what will happen once Broly does get to the end, because yeah, this is a problem. This is the biggest problem. Now, to get rid of the mark, like, you can't cleanse it. It was intended to be able to be cleansed, but they just never got around to adding that feature in. So now the only way to get rid of it is basically selling Broly and then replacing him, but that means that his domain will come to a close. And so let's just showcase what this kind of is like, him being marked anyway. Otherwise, I'll go on and kind of continue repeatedly doing this until we do get a run that will work, but that will take quite a while. So let me just showcase what it's like getting to the final wave anyway, and then we'll get into the actual run where I do beat this stage. The other thing, the reason why I did bring stalls is because Broly just did not have enough DPS by himself to be able to take care of the first boss alone. Unlike Gogeta, Gogeta kind of just was able to clean house, but the stalls really do help him be able to beat out the second and first boss, which hopefully he can. I might need to upgrade him. As you can see, Broly's taken. And now if I want to get Broly back, I need to sell him and replace him, and I can only get him to his Wrathful combo upgrade. So you can already tell, like, he's not going to be dealing the damage that he once was before, because he's not built up in any crit. He doesn't have his crit damage. This is the biggest problem with him, is that you can't really sell and replace him like other units. He kind of is just like a place down and set him up for the rest of the stage type unit. And for this stage, especially with the volatility of being your units being able to get taken, it makes it a lot more difficult to actually be able to beat this stage. But it is doable. It's just way more RNG than if you were to be able to use like cheaper units like Sukuna or even Gogeta, which kind of sucks. It sucks a lot, but it is what it is. You can't really do anything about it. But as you can see, we are not going to be able to defeat this boss at all. So I'll be back once I have another run going. Okay, we have a decent amount of money. I don't think I can get to max upgrade. Okay, who gets taken? No one gets taken. Oh my god, I think a priestess got taken and a Wither Report, but there you go. I was on top of my game, getting everybody. I guess I don't even need to have Wither Report anymore, because Wither Report does not change. Wither Report does not apply bubbles to this last boss. I just need to make sure that he does have all of his armored stocks away so Broly can just go at him. Oh man, I'm missing out on so much damage for not being at max. Maybe I sell my Hercule. I don't have Hercule up, but can I defeat this boss by himself? It's not, I don't know. It's kind of close. Maybe I just am not putting him in the correct position. Maybe this is just not a good spot to put him. We'll see, we'll see, we'll see. Come on, come on, come on. 5 million. Come on. I got really no other things I can do. You can't stall this boss. Oh, I think if I sell, I don't know why the domain is still up, but I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna lose. No. All right. Yeah, I think I can do this with Broly, so we'll go ahead and re-attempt this. All right. Moment of truth. Does Broly get taken away from me? Yep. Well, that sucks. On to the next attempt. Damn. Well, Broly got marked. We go back again. All right. I think Broly has not been marked yet, so let's see. Can we get to his final upgrade? I believe we can. Yes, we can. We'll see. Please, 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 please have not been marked. No, he has. All right. Next attempt. God. Broly got. All right. Hopefully we have now gotten to the stage where we will be able to beat the final boss. We will go ahead and sell all of our farms. Please, Broly, do not get taken. Okay, we have Broly not being taken. We are going to kind of wait out before we can make it as cheap as possible, because I kind of want to see if I can get my Hercule and Boo up as well in time. So we'll see how much we can reduce the cost before I do need to purchase this. If I can get this to, I should be able to like buy it right now and it should be fine actually. I'll buy it now, then I'll buy you, and then I need to go ahead and break his armor. He all the way done? Yeah, he's all the way done. All right, I think we have the run. I think Broly will do it now. This took many times, but you can see it is possible with Broly alone. It's just the fact that it sucks if he does get taken away because you pretty much have to start all the way from the start again. Whereas other units that don't have to rely on building up over time, most of the time you can just sell them and replace them and it would be completely fine. But for Broly, yeah, you definitely do need to do the other way around. Like as soon as he gets marked, it's kind of over. You just have to restart completely from the start again. So here we go. Here is us completing the stage with Brolys for Guilty Gear's Extreme Stage. He can do it completely fine if not for the marking mechanic, which I will say it was meant to be able to be cleansed to where Brolys would be able to be completely fine in the stage, but they never fixed it. They were saying that you can cleanse the mark, but they never actually implemented it into the game itself. So it's not Brolys' fault, it's the game's fault. Anyway, on to the next stage. Now we are going into the Attack on Titan stages. I believe this is where Broly can shine pretty well. He should be relatively strong. Now what I'm going to do is, I actually cannot remember how much money I earn from the second wave, but I want to place down Broly as soon as possible. Okay, I can. I will let these fall leak, but I'll just have a weather report deal with these guys in the background and I will go ahead and pop Wrathful Clash. The reason why I want Broly up here is just so he can start earning us money instantly, so we can upgrade our farms as soon as possible so we can get overall more money quicker. These guys should be dealt with pretty easily by weather report. I'll just place down another one just in case. As you can see, weather report's placement damage is not too bad. We can let some of these guys leak. It's not the end of the world. Broly should be able to do this completely fine. There we go. And now he should just be able to hold out by himself pretty much for the rest of this time. Really easily. I don't even need to upgrade him once. That's how good he is as a placement unit. Like he will just perform exceptionally well as a unit on placement, but I will say I do have my problems with him. One being like he doesn't really have too many damage upgrades. Like the only parts where his damage significantly increases is at upgrade 4 and upgrade 12. All the way from 1 to 3, the damage increase isn't really that high, and then it jumps up at upgrade 4, and then the same thing with upgrade 4 to upgrade 12. From upgrade 4 to upgrade 11, the damage doesn't really significantly increase that much, and then it just massively jumps up at upgrade 12, which means that he is like a lot of his damage is locked behind his highest expensive upgrade compared to other units where they gradually kind of like where their damage increases are quite linear. Broly's damage increase is very exponential. It kind of just shoots up instantly after you get to a certain upgrade, which kind of sucks. So his placement, like DPS, is amazing. For being a placement unit, he's a really, really good unit. At this point, I am going to bring him up to his full AoE so we can get that extra bit of damage from him. All right, here we go. Wave 15 is upon us, and our giant crystal, oh, it's right there. That is quite nice, actually. What we can do then is we can, I think, all we need to do is just go like this. Yeah, this is all we need to do. That's kind of crazy. Well, we got really lucky for this stage, but should be able to handle this pretty easily. Brolys in his max domain potential, so we can very easily clear that. So yeah, that was our Attack on Titan stage completed. That was super simple. On to the next one. Alright, I did say that I would go on to the next stage, but I am just going to demonstrate that Brolys can do this stage fine when the giant crystal is like nowhere near the spawn. As you can see, I am just going to be clearing out the rest of these enemies before we go ahead and then start taking out the hammer giant. So all of the enemies are gone, so all we need to focus left is the giant crystal itself. So I'll place you, I'll place you. There we go. That was Attack on Titan's Extreme Stage done. Alright, and now we are onto the Cid stage. We are going to set ourselves up, and we are going to be using Smith with the Foo Bug, because this is the only exception to where I am going to be using it, because we are trying to attempt to speedrun it, so we are trying to maximize as high as possible that we can do. Now, first off, we are going to be placing our Broly down, and we can pretty much set him onto bosses instantly. Now, this time around, I am trying to do double farm setup, because one problem Broly does have, definitely, is that he just just is too expensive to get to his maximum upgrade to where a lot of his damage is locked behind. So having a double farm setup might be a lot better than what we had before. Now everyone else that we are using is relatively cheap, pretty much just placing down and don't have to worry about them. Pretty much we just have this run and let's see how close we can get to beating a quick time. Alright, we are coming up towards the end of this run, and as you can see, it is kind of slow of a run. It is still pretty good, but nothing speed run worthy. It's just because he just costs too much. A lot of his damage is locked behind his final upgrade. Before then, he just isn't doing a crazy amount of damage, and even with myself using the cost reduction bug, yeah, Broly just could not pump out the damage to be able to get a quick time, but 4 minutes and 35 seconds by himself is a fairly decent time, do not get me wrong, but it is not the quickest, of course. Anyway, on to the final thing, which is rifts, which I believe should be pretty easy to complete. Alright, and now finally we are on the last thing, and that is the rift. This should be, of course, an easy completion. We are just going to go in and have a little bit of fun. We've increased the cost of the entire team, so we are going to see like more of a higher potential for our Broly, while mainly only using Broly still, of course, but we do have other units like Boo and Astolfo, so we can get ourselves quite a higher costing team overall. So as soon as I can place my Broly down, I am going to, and then I'm also going to pop his domain. And now all we need to do is just simply farm up. That's pretty much everything else that we need to do. Alright, and now we have pretty much everything set up. We can just kind of let it play out. We'll see if Broly does have enough damage. I'm assuming he is going to be doing more than enough damage. I do need to kind of do a little bit more of Astolfo's setup to get more damage and range from the spellbook, but that's pretty much it. Everything else is completely fine. Now let's see if we can beat Yhwach around this first bend. I do have my Wuhan in here as well, so he does have 400,000 damage himself. Broly's at 749,000, and then we also have a couple of ghosts that are walking around. Probably should have been bubble effect as well. I think we are going to miss out ever so slightly. Yeah, we will be. I was just not paying attention with the bubble effect. But yeah, that is completely fine. We just need to sell and replace our Broly, which would be all good. Let's go ahead and move him over here, max him out. And I'm also going to grab my Astolfo and bring him over. And we should be completed. There we go. That is the last stage completed. Alright, and to end things off, I just want to give my ending thoughts on Broly overall. So we are just going to be having him in the background of Act 1 Cid Raid while I speak how I feel about Broly. So Broly, it became very apparent to me when I was clearing all of the stages. Although he did clear every stage, I did see where he struggled the most, and that was mainly in in-game DPS. Now he does have really high DPS potential when you do get him to that in-game, but that you really need a perfected setup to be able to achieve that. Maybe I was at fault by not bringing in a double farm into, like, let's say the Guilty Gears Extreme stage, because I couldn't really get everything set up. I was pretty strapped for money in that stage. One thing that did become very apparent to me, which I was already aware of, is that he is a demon as a placement unit. That is probably how I would be going about using Broly. I would not really be investing money into him, although maybe I would get him up up to his upgrade 4, but overall I would simply just use him for placement. I would place him down and let him do his thing while I can then invest into different units in my team. That would be my main DPS for like my team. He does give really good sub DPS as a placement unit as well. I think it's around like 55,000, or like I think it's between 30 and 50,000 DPS that he can have on placement, which is insane by the way for 3,000 as a monarch. Of course, this is where he definitely shines the most, but once you do start upgrading him, he does kind of struggle with at least trying to go through the bosses as being the main DPS, because I will say, like I think I mentioned this already, but the main parts where he is getting a damage increase, you can see like 117, 125, 131, 133. It's not really increasing that much, and then you get to upgrade 4 and it goes up to 200k. This is where he gets a big damage boost. So they're really, 3 of these upgrades are kind of useless until you reach upgrade 4, and the same thing goes all the way from upgrade 5 to 11 and then upgrade 12. Upgrade 12 is where he really shines with his damage, but it is such a huge cost to get to that like all the previous costs are not really worth that much, and I was not paying attention to the towers. What I was saying before, upgrading him one by one all the way up to upgrade 12 does not really feel worth it. We're spending quite a lot of money just to get him increased by 4,000 damage, although eventually once you do get him to upgrade 12, that's where he is worth, because his damage exponentially jumps so much. But that's why I'm saying like he is a perfect placement unit, giving it rupture, and then eventually if you do want to, I would most of the time upgrade him to upgrade 4, but that is pretty much the limit of my Broly that I would be using him personally. Outside of that, not really. With Broly being a placement unit, that is where his ability comes into play and other unbound units. You definitely want to be either investing into like an Aizen or a Guts over him. You would just use your Broly for placement, and then Guts and Aizen would be the main DPSs. I would probably prefer to do Guts over an Aizen. Aizen's DPS is really good, but it's still not the craziest amount compared to Guts. Guts is just way ahead of Aizen in terms of DPS, at least from my testing that I've done with them. Dante is another one, but I haven't been able to really test with Dante because I don't have a proper Dante setup to be able to test him. Yeah, if you have a Monarch Guts, then the perfect pairing is Broly and Guts. They do wonders together, but for me, he's just going to be a really solid placement unit in any sort of team. So yeah, that is how I feel about Broly. But yeah, that is going to be me. I appreciate it if you guys have watched this far through the video. See ya.